welcome back to the Surf Club
Hello.
podcast.
Hi, we're here. We've
Kelsey,
done it.
you are only how many hours? Two
I'm
hour difference
now
away from me now.
I'm now
instead of
2 hours ahead of you.
whatever it was before, like
It was like
19.
20 hours behind or in front.
Better,
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah. Better. Yeah, I'm here at my mom's house. I've got a change of scenery.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yes, this is
Love
my bedroom here.
it.
And unfortunately didn't get to come and see you because
I know.
COVID strikes again and just screws
Worst.
everything up. But it's okay. I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I was only going to be able to see you for maybe like 2 dinners. And now we can
Mhm.
plan a trip where we can put some time aside and like
Yeah.
hang out and do fun things. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
We should probably tell people. Kelsey didn't have COVID. I feel like
No.
made it sound like that. Just
No, I didn't
traveling
have
wise.
COVID. I went to go get on my flight and I had the wrong COVID test. I had to go to a GP or like a general practitioner and get like full documentation of everything with it. And instead I went to a drive-through clinic and they didn't give me that documentation. So I was like, oh no, that's not great. And I didn't have time to get a new test. Obviously before my flight. So I got the next flight out of New Zealand and unfortunately they only have 2 flights to the US per week.
That is
So
wild.
I
But I
know.
guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So instead of going on Sunday night and coming to you and then going to my mom's house, I went on Thursday night and I flew directly to Nashville and hung out with my friend Sarah, like my best friend, for a couple days. And then my mom came and picked me up and drove me back down to Birmingham. And here I am.
How was your Halloween?
It was
In
so fun.
Nashville?
I ended up being a Catwoman. And I got my nails done to
I
match.
saw that. They look magnificent.
Thank you. I know we
I love
talked about
them.
it. And it's my first round of acrylics ever, and I'm really worried because I love them, and I think I'm going to sink a lot of money into this in my lifetime.
I have to tell you, because I never get acrylics, but after our discussion, I went and got acrylics too.
Yes!
And I have to tell you, I love them too, and I'm very scared about it.
You're like, oh no, I'm about to spend like so much money.
I know they're so expensive,
That
but
is great. They're so fun.
they are so fun, and they look really good, by the way.
Right? Thank you. Yours do too. I'm
Oh,
excited. What did you do? You went to Vegas. How was that?
I went to Vegas. It was fine. We went for Joe's cousin's 21st birthday, so that was a lot. It was like the whole family. I've never gone to Vegas with like the whole family. There was like aunts, uncles, grandparents,
Fun.
siblings, parents. So that was really fun. I am not a huge fan of Vegas just because the smell of smoke really makes me super nauseous, and everybody smokes there excessively because it's all casinos.
I guess that makes sense. I've never been, really.
I was just gonna ask you if you've been. So I think the birthday girl had a wonderful time, which is the whole point of the trip. So that was great. But I will say, if I never went back to Vegas again in my life, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. It's just so expensive. I'm like, I'm paying so much money to breathe in smoky air for a weekend.
Is it just the whole city? Is it just like a dome of cigarettes?
Basically.
Ooh.
And then everything is just like wildly expensive. Just crazy expensive. But yeah.
Dang.
But you know, it was what it was. We didn't dress up at all, which I also didn't lose any sleep over because I'm not a huge fan of Halloween. I don't not like it, but the effort it takes to dress up, I can't take myself there.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm the opposite. I'm so extra. I'm like, I want to dress up for
I
everything.
want to be on your level. Like, I have the desire, but I don't have the drive.
I think I get a little too excited though. Like, I love dressing up. I love a theme. I love costumes. In New Zealand, people don't care about holidays at all. Even like Christmas Day, they'll be like,
see, that's sad.
Yeah, Christmas Day, they say, oh, it's Christmas. Like, should we have a barbecue or something?
A barbecue, like, right? Because
you haven't been planning this for 3 months?
Christmas music starts now. It's November.
Yeah. I was like, this is crazy. But even on Halloween last year in New Zealand, I went to a music festival. They threw a Mardi Gras music festival on Halloween because it got postponed from regular Mardi Gras because of
Oh, okay.
COVID.
That makes
So they
sense.
pushed it to Halloween. And I was like, well, I'll wear something that's like middle ground. So I wore like all black. I wore just like a black skirt and a black sweater. And then I had like black cat ears, 2 black cats in a row. I just had like plain black cat ears and was like, this is fine. This is
Perfect.
nothing. This is not a costume at all. I felt overdressed. I was like, I'm taking
Did you
these off.
really? Oh my
Like no
God.
one wore any, like there was a few people that were funny wearing like a group costume, and they were like, oh,
Mhm.
like we're wearing like a onesie of whatever. But most people were just like, no, I'm just wearing my regular like jeans and a t-shirt or whatever. And I was
That's
like, oh,
interesting.
well,
See, I
these look cute.
I I bet you did. And I look up to people who are really so into it and love doing it. And I think a group costume would be so fun. It's just I'm lacking the effort. So if
Mm,
someone came along and was like, April, this is what you're wearing for Halloween. We're doing group costume, and they told me what to do, I'd be like, okay, fine. I'm here for
that
it.
is, yeah, that's a
I
me
need
thing.
instruction.
Yeah, I'm that person in the friend group. I'm the one that says, hey guys, this is the thing we're doing. I've set it all up. All you have to do is show up.
And that's what I need. I need you here in Arizona to tell me that every
Well, I
Halloween.
mean, this is why we're friends. This is why we do things.
We complement each other so well.
We really do.
Well, I have to share that the most exciting thing that's happened this week so far is that I got a new office chair and it was delivered yesterday. It's hard
Ooh,
for you to kind of see in here,
white fancy.
but it's like so the
I
office
like
chair
it.
I've been sitting in has been one that Joe's parents were kind enough to give to us because they got a new office chair, so we're using that. But for my birthday back in September, Joe
Mm.
gifted me an office chair, but he didn't like pick it out. He's like, I'm giving you an office chair, but go pick out one that you like. And it took me 8 years to choose
Oh
things,
my gosh.
like it always does,
Yeah.
because I just don't want to spend money on anything I don't love. So I finally found one, and I'm obsessed with it so far. But I'm giving
Yay.
it a trial run because
Mm.
it has a 14-day return policy. But
Oh
I'm
my
really obsessed with the part that I can't show you. The base of it is like all gold,
gosh.
and I just really
Ooh,
love it.
very flash.
Yes.
Are you just gonna sit in it for 2 weeks straight and see if it hurts your back?
That's my plan.
Yeah, that's
Well, I
fair.
was gonna sit in it for the day. Yeah, trial it out and see if it hurts my back. So far,
Yeah.
so good. So far today, it's been great.
I'm currently working at like a makeshift desk in this room because my mom was like, "Well, we don't really have a desk, but I know that you're going to need to work." So she pulled me out a card table and one of the matching chairs from the attic. And I'm also right now I'm sitting in this like very very old wicker chair. You can't see it, but it's just this like old white wicker chair that I feel very low, but I
Mhm.
feel like you also your computer sits high, so now I feel
Yeah.
like we're actually closer to the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Innovation.
Innovation. Everyone that's not
Innovation.
listening or not watching on YouTube is just like, you guys are
What?
only talking about your surroundings.
Just talking about them. Well, shall we jump in and get started with
I
the
think
episode?
we shall, April. I'm on research, you're on recipe, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gents, we'll be right back with our research segment.
Excellent. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I was eating a raisin.
Lunch. No, I'm also going to munch a little bit.
This is during our lunchtime, so we're
What have
quietly
you got for
munching.
lunch right now? You've just got trail mix?
This is, yeah, I have trail mix to hold me over until I can have my real lunch, but it's a pretty good trail mix. It's kind of just your basic mix of, almonds, peanuts, M&Ms, raisins, and
Nice.
cashews.
Oh, nice.
You know.
I am a fan of the snack plate, which is what I'm working on right now. I usually just get a big plate of a bunch of different foods. I like diversity. So I've got a big plate. I've got some roasted almonds, olives, some Triscuits, green beans, carrots, some manchego cheese, and grapes. And
That sounds really good.
and a packet of M&Ms.
We both have M&Ms today,
Oh my gosh.
which is funny
chocolate every
because
day.
do you have M&Ms every day?
Not
You said you have
M&Ms,
chocolate
but
every day.
some sort of chocolate.
Yeah. I rarely have M&Ms because I'm not a big fan of them unless they're in trail mix.
I only have them because we did Halloween on Saturday, and we've got a
I
bunch
knew
of
you were going to
little,
say that.
yeah, it's just all these like little mini packets. So I was like, well, that's me.
I knew you were going to say it was because Halloween.
It was so cute. My mom has a really cute house in a cute neighborhood. There's lots of cute little kids.
Oh, yay.
It was
Okay.
all right.
Let's jump into the research. Tell us what you've got.
All right, April. So what I've got this week is, you've already heard it before from me. I have had the most insane week, and 2 weeks probably of in a long time. So I honestly didn't have tons of time to do this research. So I am covering something that I already have done the research for. And that would be my I am covering something that I covered for a case study that I did in grad school.
Memories.
I know. So I presented this when we had to do our in-person one. So I presented this to the whole class 2 years ago. And earlier today, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get this research together. And I was trying to find something, and I said, you know what? I have a study that's good. I've already put it together. I'm just going to share it. I'm going to do it.
Old Faithful, you cannot go wrong with that. And
Yes.
I love that it was in the last 2 years, so it stays within our 5-year parameter, still up to date, still relevant. Perfect.
Yes.
Great choice.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, can you hear that truck driving outside?
No, you're all right.
Okay, I have my window open. Sorry, ladies and gents, if you
You're good.
Oh, sorry, gentle friends, if you can.
Gentle friends.
I
apologize. So the premise of this case study, it's kind of cool because it's one thing and then it turns into another thing. My case study was a patient with a BMI of 65.4.
I remember this.
Yep. You know exactly what I'm talking about. 65.4, current weight is 204 kilograms. So that's about 450 pounds. So, and my physical assessment is well nourished with no muscle or fat depletion, appears morbidly obese, generalized edema present. So what that really means is that there's no muscle or fat depletion, but there is edema. So that means they're holding on to fluid, but it doesn't seem like they're malnourished, which is going to be a key part to this towards the end. But what happened with this patient was they had pancreatitis. So the usual MNT or medical nutrition therapy for pancreatitis is a low-fat diet, just to help with digestion of fat. So that was kind of what we said. We said, hey, here's a low-fat diet. Also, we did kind of give a weight loss education. It was when I was in my grad school clinical rotation. So
I also think it's important to note that, and we kind of talked about this in a previous episode about clinical practice versus non-clinical practice. Yes. And then like you'll notice that Kelsey mentioned BMI, because in clinical practice and in our healthcare system, they still look at things like BMI, or they still require us as dietitians to provide educations like weight loss educations, whether or not we may agree that they are beneficial. Sometimes we are required to do those things when we may not want to, like if the doctor orders it or something like that.
Yes. And those biomarkers as well are really important for what I'm going to go into as too. So kind of the study that's based off of this case study, it all ties in. So those are important. Well, you don't have to know the specific number, but it's important to note them. Okay, so we did that. After my education, the patient got a gallbladder removal and then left. Then at a follow-up, he came back and he had lost 80 pounds.
Awesome. Oh, you know what my first question is? I need to ask. I don't want to interrupt. Over how much time did he lose this weight?
The next one was January 8th. So he presented on mid-October, and follow-up was in January. So this is October, November, December, January. So about 3 months later, a little less than 3 months later. So 80 pounds in 3 months
is a lot.
Is a lot.
And
although people that are at much higher weights do lose weight faster, if that's kind of within their health goals, that's a lot of weight to lose. So everyone's like, great, awesome. The patient also reported poor appetite, vomiting, abdominal pain, tachycardia. So that means that the patient lost 20% of their weight in 2 months, which is crazy.
Yeah,
And
that's insane.
things like edema, muscle, and fat depletion, which are all measures of malnutrition, were not mentioned in the follow up.
Were they evaluated?
No, they weren't evaluated for that. So that's my point here. They're often overlooked in the healthcare system. So
Because
sorry?
people, oh, sorry, I was just going to point out they're often overlooked. I agree, especially in people who tend to be in larger bodies, because healthcare workers assume, or healthcare professionals assume, that because they're in a larger body, there's no way they could be malnourished, and that is farthest from the truth. You can absolutely be malnourished and be at risk for malnutrition, even if you're in a larger body and have a BMI of 65.
Yes. So that is the study I'm actually talking about this week. So something that I noticed, well, something that I've added to is another study from the Critical Care Medicine meta-analysis, and it says 60% of obese patients suffer from malnutrition, which is a lot.
Mic drop.
I know, mic drop. So the study that I'm actually going through is called Malnutrition, Poor Food Intake, and Adverse Healthcare Outcomes in Non-Critically Ill Obese Acute Care Hospital Patients. So really what that means is they're looking at malnutrition in obese patients because it's so rarely actually used to like when they're doing a nutritional evaluation. The study design, it was a prospective cohort study. So they looked at 3,000 non-critically ill inpatients that were over 18 years old. They looked at BMI, nutritional status, and 24-hour food intake. In another phase, they also looked at the length of stay, readmissions, and in-hospital mortality. So they looked at a lot of cool things here, really great markers, I think, and measures in the study. And the results were that 14% of those patients were malnourished, which is a lot.
Wild.
And 70% of those malnourished obese patients didn't receive additional nutrition support. So that means that even though they were malnourished, they didn't receive any support, meaning like tube feeding or extra shakes, which are given to, it's part of our protocol to give to people that are malnourished.
Education on how to eat if you're not have nausea or vomiting, just anything.
Yes. And they also noted that 28% of those patients also only consumed either a quarter or less than a quarter of the offered meals that they were given at the hospital. Again, why isn't this noticed? But overall, those two things, so malnutrition in those patients and the low intake, increases their odds of in-hospital mortality, which means death in the hospital within 90 days of their admission.
And a lot of it is because, like, a lot of healthcare professionals aren't trained in nutrition like dietitians are, so they automatically assume that if a patient comes in and is obese, that they would never be malnourished, so they don't consult the dietitian at all. So they never end up seeing them. But I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I actually had a discussion with somebody about this recently.
Tell me more.
Explaining how someone in a larger body, or who is technically maybe diagnosed as obese or overweight, can be malnourished, because it's just so common in our society. When we say the word malnutrition, we picture somebody with, their ribs showing and just no fat or muscle in their bodies at all, just being able to see their bones, basically. And it's could not be farther from the truth. Yes, that person you're picturing probably most likely has malnutrition, but that doesn't negate people who are in larger bodies. They can absolutely still be malnourished. And that's why it's so important to never eat, like, if you're trying to eat in a caloric deficit, to never eat too little, because you could end up being malnourished no matter what size body that you're in and what you look like. There's so many other factors that come into play.
Yeah, 100%. So just the major takeaways from this study overall is that there's a lot of malnourished patients out there that are in larger bodies that have really significantly poorer health outcomes just because of their size. They are still also the least likely to receive additional nutrition support. Just because someone's in a larger body doesn't mean they don't deserve food, guys.
True that. Another mic drop.
Mic drop. BMI alone cannot be used as a surrogate measure for nutritional status, which means you can't only look at change in weight. Weight is, like I've said it before, weight is just one of the numbers that are associated with your body. You've got to look at so many other, you can look at blood biomarkers, you can look at physical changes. You can look at, there's so many other things that should be taken into account when looking at nutrition status and looking at, change and, health of a human being. Weight is not the end all be all, and it doesn't always matter.
I would say, absolutely, I agree. And in terms of BMI, it's such a archaic way of looking at things. And as registered dietitians, we can legally diagnose malnutrition. And in order to diagnose somebody with something like any medical condition, you have to follow protocols, and that person has to meet certain standards in order to be diagnosed. And there are different diagnostic criteria in order to diagnose someone as malnourished, and BMI is not one of them.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really tell us anything. We look at things like the edema, fluid accumulation, like Kelsey mentioned, things like poor appetite, how have they been eating? I hear the other truck outside my window. Sorry, guys, I need to close my window. Poor appetite, muscle wasting, fat wasting. We do like physical exams to feel for muscle or fat wasting. And then excessive weight loss, similar to what Kelsey mentioned, something like 80 pounds, 20% of their body weight in 3 months is way too much, way too fast.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with BMI, and it has nothing to do with their starting weight and whether or not they were healthy or what their starting weight means. It's just that percentage of weight loss over so quickly that is what matters.
Yeah. And the thing that's important to think about too is that, if a straight sized person or even someone in a very small body came in and lost 20% of their weight over 2 months, that would call for extreme extreme measures. People would say, oh my goodness, what happened? What's going on? Let's look at everything that's going on here. Whereas, someone presents with, that 20% weight loss in a larger body, they go, oh, look, they're trying.
Yeah, exactly. That's
awful.
Just, we need to change the way our healthcare system is
yeah.
constructed.
Yeah.
What a great study. I'm so glad you brought this back.
Thank you.
It's so cool to revisit it, 2 years later, more further into the field and having more experience and things like that in the field.
Definitely. So. Definitely. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing it again.
I did.
And this time I feel like you got to talk too, because last time I was just like, here, everyone, here's what I learned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, because you're presenting.
Yeah.
Wonderful job.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
All right. Shall we move on to the recipe?
We shall.
Sweet. See you soon.
Bye.
Got it.
That satisfying sound of it just popping open.
That can be the start of the recipe.
Welcome back, everybody, to the recipe segment.
Welcome.
Pop
open your seltzers and enjoy.
Oh, I got a seltzer too. What brand do you have?
I have lemon.
I have lemon lime, and I'm trying this new brand called Waterloo.
Oh, we have some of those. We have grape ones though, and
yeah,
water too. Doesn't seem.
No, you don't like it.
I don't think grape water is a thing.
I don't mind the grape one. We have lemon, lime, grape, and strawberry, but they were on sale at Costco, so
that's lovely. Are you making grape seltzer for your recipe this week?
Yes, and it's super easy. All you have to do is grab yourself a can and crack it open, and we're ready to go. All right, on to the next segment.
And next segment.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a recipe that I concocted in my brain.
Oh my gosh, fun.
Because of a sample that I had at Costco.
Ooh.
So Costco samples are not back in full force because of the pandemic, but they are creeping back. So I know you probably haven't been to a Costco in years.
Not yet.
Because you've been over in New Zealand.
I meant to go tomorrow, though.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, the samples aren't back in full force, but they do have them every once in a while. So they had this sample the other day of this Alfredo sauce. And normally I just can never find an Alfredo sauce that I like that comes in a can or a jar. But I was like, okay, I'll try this one. And it was very good. So
Ooh.
I got inspired. I bought this tomato sauce or this Alfredo sauce. And then I got these portobello mushrooms and frozen shrimp. And then I was at the grocery store later on and I saw this pasta that was for sale for like 99 cents. I was like, sweet, perfect. So I made myself and Joe a little concoction. I need to think of like a good name for it. Mushroom and shrimp Alfredo pasta
That
is what I
sounds
created.
like a lovely name. That sounds so
Oh,
good.
thank you. I feel like I could name it something fancier, but that's what it is.
You could call it what's shrimp in Italian? Isn't it something like
Oh,
scampi?
is scampi shrimp in Italian?
I really think so.
Let's confirm.
You're
What is
the Italian here, April.
I know, I feel like a failure in Italian. I'm working on it, okay? Shrimp. What does scampi mean in Italian? I'm getting mixed results. I think you're right. I think scampi does refer to a type of shrimp
Yes.
or prawn. So we're gonna go with that. I
Okay.
made a mushroom Alfredo scampi.
Okay. Love it.
Okay, we'll go with that.
I love it.
Anyways, and it was actually pretty easy. So all I did was, normal stuff with pasta, boiled some water, pop the pasta in there, and I ended up using whole wheat pasta, which I normally like to buy just because it's higher in fiber. So gets my digestive system going. But
Okay.
also, like I said, I just happened upon it because it was on sale for 99 cents at the grocery store, and I
No
love me a
way.
good sale. And the whole wheat pasta is not normally on sale. But anyways, you don't necessarily need to use that. You could use any type of pasta of your preference. I know a lot of people these days like that chickpea pasta. What's it called?
Banza or Bonza?
Banza.
Yeah.
I have a hot take on that. Do you
Oh,
like
let's
it?
hear it.
So I've heard all these things about Banza pasta and how amazing it is. So the other
Mhm.
day I went to the grocery store all excited to try it, and I didn't like it very much.
It's stiff, hey.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. So I was kind
Yeah.
of disappointed. But anyways, if you do like it, you could use that. You could use regular pasta, whatever floats your boat. But that's what I ended up using. So
Yeah.
I boiled the pasta, cooked the pasta, sauteed up the mushrooms. They're baby portobellas, baby bellas, as they're called on the label,
Cute.
which I think was really cute. And I love buying frozen shrimp because, first of all, I love shrimp, great source of protein. But shrimp is just so easy and quick to thaw out. It takes literally 2 seconds. Just run it under some water and a colander. So I just seasoned it, honestly, with just some random seasonings. I think umami and then salt and pepper. Put it in a
Oh,
pan, sauteed it real quick, and then I just mixed everything together. Mushrooms, shrimp, Alfredo sauce, pasta, and it was great.
love it. That
Really
sounds
proud of myself for that.
so good.
Yeah.
I love a good pasta dish.
A good scampi.
A good scampi. I'm actually more of a red sauce kind of gal.
Mm-hmm.
The creamy sauces don't do me very good. They're not great for my stomach. I'm
Okay.
usually fine with most lactose, but personally when I have like really creamy sauces or like really sugary like milkshakes
Mm-hmm.
or some ice creams. Some ice creams are okay. Some ice creams are not okay. And my stomach makes sure I know if it's okay or not. Yeah.
That's fair.
But that sounds delish. I do love Alfredo. It's just my stomach doesn't.
Well, you could do this, but you could use a red sauce. You don't have to use Alfredo.
Yeah, that would be really good. Like a marinara
Yeah.
or something.
Or even like olive oil and garlic or butter and garlic. You could do
Ooh,
that
yeah,
too.
yeah. Like a lemony, that would be good too.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
Oh my
Switch
god.
it up. Get creative.
Switch it up.
Yeah.
Do you remember the brand of the Alfredo that you got from Costco?
Sonoma.
Sonoma.
I think that's what it was called.
Fancy. So
Yeah,
everyone, if
it had blue
you
label.
oh nice. Yeah, yeah. So if you want to go make a Alfredo with a Costco sauce,
Head on
Sonoma.
down.
Yeah.
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored yet.
Yet. Oh, I like that. It's positivity. Positivity.
We're manifesting here,
Yes,
April.
we are manifesting. But yeah, I liked it a lot. It was delicious, and it just kind of. Oh, you see that fly? If you're
I
watching
do.
YouTube, you just saw that fly bebop through here. Um, I think it's just a good representation of how, eating a balanced diet and reaching your health goals and having health longevity doesn't mean you have to eat salads all day long. You can have Alfredo sauce and pasta and all the good stuff too. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I feel like in that recipe you've got a good carb, you've got a good protein, you've got nice lots of veggies, you've got some healthy fats in there.
Oh, we had Brussels sprouts on the side too because balsamic Brussels sprouts. I forgot about that.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
It was very
Wow.
good.
April,
I was like a chef that night. I was very proud of myself.
You're a chef all the time. It's like technically part of our job to be food people.
That is part of my job description.
Not that we're chefs, but
we are chefs. Well, yeah, that was that, and it was delicious.
Yum. I love it. Thank you for sharing. I'll have to give it a go when I have a kitchen. Oh, you know what? I'm going down to Florida over the weekend and I'll be there for a week. So I bet I can get some like really nice fresh
seafood,
shrimp or crawfish or something. I'll make it then.
Some scampi.
Fresh scampi.
I need to confirm that.
You should confirm with your Italian husband.
Yeah, I don't know if he knows. My mother-in-law might know. She's better with Italian words.
All right. Well, check back and we'll confirm.
Yeah. Okay. On to the next section, and we'll see you guys or talk to you guys in a minute.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
We're back.
We're back, Taste Buddies.
I like Taste Buddies more than Gentle Friends, I think. I think Gentle Friends is a little maybe not on brand.
Taste Buddies it is. Yeah. Welcome back, Taste Buddies, to my favorite segment, the question and answer section.
The FAQ.
The FAQ. If you
ask a dietitian, ask the Taste Buddies dietitians.
Get your answers. This episode, in case you didn't guess from the title, it costs a pretty penny to go on that diet. We're talking about a little bit about fad diets, and we're addressing some questions around dieting, fad diets, and all of that good stuff. So let's kick it off with our first question.
Okay. Do you want to read it or do you want me to?
It does not matter. Do you have a preference?
I will read it.
Okay.
Question number 1. How do you make sure you're giving your body what it needs without obsessively tracking your diet?
That's a really good question. I love that question.
I do too.
There are a myriad of ways to do that. Some of them include, listening to your hunger and fullness cues. Your body is incredibly smart and it knows when you need fuel and when you don't. So making sure to listen when you're hungry, eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're not, so that you're getting the right amount of calories in. And then also focusing on not only satisfying your cravings, but I always like to talk about building that balanced plate. And if you really focus on trying to build that balanced plate to properly fuel you, keep you satisfied, and really hit all of the different food categories, then you're going to hit all of your macro and micronutrients. So that's eating a fruit or vegetable, getting a protein, getting a fat, getting a complex carb like a whole grain in there, and then drinking lots of fluid. And trying to get that in with trying to build that balanced plate with all meals and snacks. And that doesn't mean that you have to every time if you're not craving it, if you're not hungry enough for it, or if you're not in a situation where you can get that, but just trying your best to do that so that you can properly fuel yourself.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Kelsey?
Definitely. I agree. I'm definitely like a big supporter of learning your hunger and fullness cues. It can be a game changer. And personally for me, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but personally for me, when I was able to actually lose control of everything that was going on, I gained so much more control, actually. Like when I was able to relinquish all the things that my brain was trying to tell my body, you can't have this, we have to stop here, this is the only number you can have of whatever it is. When I was able to actually like step away from that, that was when my body kind of took all the control from me and said, hey, I know what I'm doing. I can do this on my own. So instead of, taking charge and saying, it has to be this, it has to be that, like your body will tell you if you just let go a little bit. And personally, like I don't allow any numbers in my circle. Like, I don't look at my weight. I don't look at calories. I don't look at any macros. I don't look at any micros really either. I don't even like to see how far I've run or how long it took me to run or how long I've worked out. Like, I don't want any numbers around my health personally, because it doesn't work for my lifestyle. It works for some people's and that's fine, but for me, I don't want it because it makes me overthink it and it makes me obsessively track it, and it's just not healthy for me to have around. And that might be a thing for you too.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're able to actually let your body say, "Hey, I'm feeling hungry right now," or "Hey, I've had enough of this meal," or, whatever all the things it's telling you, it's amazing. And it really is. It
Truly is.
changes the game.
And I'm glad you brought up the control part of it, because I think that's such a huge thing that I usually have to touch on with my clients, is that when people come to me and they've been tracking or giving points to their food or following a specific diet, it makes them feel in control, but really they're not in control at all, because the food is controlling them, because they can't eat certain things, or if they go over this and it's stressful or they feel guilty, versus if you relinquish those restrictions and you actually give over, like you were talking about, to what your body's telling you, wrapped in a neat little package with nutrition education and choosing what's going to make you feel good, then you actually gain back that control, because you don't lose control around foods that you were previously restricting. You don't overeat and they get in that overeat restrict cycle. You don't have that last supper syndrome and all of those things.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. And I had another point that I can't remember what I was going to say. It really bugged me.
Was it about something
yeah.
I was talking about? Okay.
So I think the other thing too with diets in general is that everyone is looking for something to blame or some way to magically control or get to where they want to be health-wise. And there are ways to do that without pointing fingers, without villainizing anything, or without having that extreme control. So hot take, but you don't necessarily need to exactly hit your macros perfectly every day. The only time I would say macros, I would encourage someone to pay more attention to it, is if you are an athlete and you are just getting in so much movement every day and so much exercise that really it's dangerous if you don't pay attention to it, and make sure you're getting enough protein to build muscle so you can do your job correctly. But beyond that, for the average person, we just, as a society, we need to kind of let go a little bit of that whole, I need to hit my macros exactly, I need to do this exactly, because you will get in the macros that you need. And if you have that nutrition education and that intuitivity.
Yeah. And look, like, it does work for some people,
mm-hmm.
short term too. Maybe some people just want a good look at what, what they're doing, what, a meal plan looks like for them. It can work if it's, I would say probably short term. Short term, you just want a good picture of where you're at and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, it's just going to be you're overthinking it.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
It can be a good way to familiarize yourself with all the things in nutrition, but long term, it's a lot of stress.
Yeah. And like Kelsey said, it does work for some people, but for the majority of people that I've seen, it does cause more stress, unhealthy relationship with food, and sometimes even disordered eating.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. I'll read it off.
Okay.
Can you explain set point weight?
Yes, I can. So, your body is genetically predispositioned, naturally predispositioned to have a weight that it's going to be. And this is the weight at which you don't need to, the word I'm looking for is control your eating either higher than what your body would usually want or need, or lower than what your body would usually want or need, to stay at that weight. And that weight is also the weight at which, if you stop doing those things, you'll probably get back to around that number. Everyone's set point weight is different. Some people's are, at some point, some people's are at another point, and that's okay. And another thing about set point as well is when we yo-yo diet and when we are going off and on diets, fads, things like that, it can rise. Especially because you are pretty much putting your body through restriction mode over and over again. So you're at one set point, you're restriction mode, you lose weight. And then your body goes, oh, yes, that diet's over. That starvation time is over. I'm going to gain the weight back and then gain a little bit more for protection. And it stays here. And then if it happens again, it goes there. So it keeps on going up and up the more yo-yo dieting happens.
That was a very wonderful description. Thank you, Kelsey. And you know what I think would be interesting is maybe in one of our episodes doing a research segment on set point weight.
Yeah.
Just to dive a little bit deeper into it. I think that'd be really cool.
Definitely.
All right, last question.
Sweet. Oh, that's me.
Do you want me to read it off?
I can. It's okay. I was just like, can you talk about the fat-free craze of the 90s and then the sugar-free craze of the 2000s and, every craze since, and is it any good for you?
I love this question. And I think it just paints a really good picture of what diet culture does to us as a society. And I think a lot of these crazes can either come from, truthfully, like a celebrity, somebody who decides that, or some person who's famous and decides that, taking one thing out of their diet will be helpful and they promote it. Or it could come from a study that maybe shows some promise but isn't necessarily reliable and someone decides to take it and run with it. Whatever it is, it's just, the thing is that everybody wants someone or something to blame, and diet culture knows that. People out there promoting diets know that. They know that if they choose something to villainize and they tell society or people that, hey, if you cut this out of your diet, then you will achieve your health dreams, you'll lose all this weight, you'll gain less muscle, you'll be perfect, everything will be perfect. And the reality is that's just not true. But diet culture sells it that if you do this and don't succeed, then it's your fault. And that's just not true. So I think the crazes really stemming from that, maybe originally from someone who's famous or a study that maybe is not that reliable, some data that may promote it, and using that and taking it and running with it. And then society just kind of takes it over and says, okay, sweet, do this now and it'll really work. And now, okay, now do this. The reality is you need fat in your diet and you also need sugar in your diet. You need everything in your diet, and you need everything in your, by diet. I always struggle with the word diet because as a clinician and a registered dietitian, saying diet isn't like a taboo or a negative word. It just is what it is. But
it's just what you eat in a day.
It's just what you eat in a day, but it has such a negative connotation. So I don't mean going on a diet, but every day we need to take fat in. We need to eat fat. We need to eat sugar. We need to eat fruits, vegetables. We need to eat dairy. We need to eat everything.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Just trying to get as much diversity as you can is really the most important. You shouldn't be cutting one thing out, because if you even see from this, it changes. The one thing changes. And with that, they say, oh, well, there's new research that suggests this, new research that suggests that. If you actually go back and read the research, it's usually one little piece of evidence. Sometimes the sample size isn't very big. Sometimes it's just a case study. Sometimes it's really small things that they say, oh, hey, this one study says that we noticed that if you have whatever, low fat, whatever, it can lead to, most of the time, weight loss. And first of all, most of those diets that cut things out, not sustainable, will lead you to get into that yo-yo dieting, higher set point, that whole cycle it'll keep going. But yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of people will just see that one study and say, oh, this is a new thing. And then businesses go, ooh, this is a new thing. And how many low carb breads have you seen out there? How many sugar-free everything have you seen out there?
Fat-free, yeah.
It's grown and grown and grown and grown to the point that, businesses are thriving off of these maybe one-hit wonder studies is what I'm going to say.
And I think it's just, not to get too depressing, but a lot of it I think is companies preying off people's hope.
Yeah.
Their hope and their lack of education about nutrition and their desire to want to reach their health goals. And most of the time, like you said, it is weight loss so badly that they're willing to do anything. And if it's come out that and someone says and declares that cutting sugar out of your diet is the end all be all, then they're going to do it. And again, promoting that, well, if you don't follow it and it doesn't work out, then it's your fault. It's not the diet's fault. But the reality is it's the diet's fault.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if there's anything out there that tells you you need to cut out any type of food group or cut out anything specific entirely, if it doesn't have to do with an insensitivity, intolerance, or allergy, then red flag, stay far away from that because it's just not true. You can eat anything and everything. Everything can fit into a healthy lifestyle.
Yes. And one thing I always say too, just based on, with the culture of everything, how much time and money has been wasted on people just being insecure, and how much could we have gotten done, especially women? How much can women have gotten done if we didn't have to worry about all this crap?
Mm-hmm.
So much. Oh my gosh,
So
I've
much.
wasted so much time worrying about this. I could have been doing so many great other things, and I'm
So
so
many years. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So much mental space, so much emotional space. Absolutely.
Not needed. Not needed.
Not needed. I agree.
Well, this is a great episode, and I appreciate you being here and listening. It's been fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in, Taste Buddies. Like we say at the end of every episode, rate us, leave us a review, drop lots of questions, please.
Yes, we need new questions. Please, please, please ask us questions. Put it in the form. We will open a few questions on the Instagram as well, so you can ask them there.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.